This is the Benefits Buzz Podcast, your weekly pulse on what's happening in the world of employee benefits. Brought to you by your friends at WEX, who believe in simplifying benefits for everyone. Now listen up and let's get buzzed! Hey everyone, it is Benefits Buzz time. I'm your host, Eric Piela, and I'm joined as always by my co-host, Hayden Gothy.
Nice to be back here, Eric.
It is nice to be back here. If you're watching our YouTube version of the podcast, we are live on set coming from Hollywood, Florida at our large partner conference called Spark, and I cannot wait. We're taking advantage of all these great speakers who are here. Literally, our guest who is with us today was just on stage, gave a riveting keynote presentation, and we thought, Ken, you got to come and jump on our podcast. Of course, I'm talking about the person sitting right next to me, Ken Schmidt, former Director of Communications at Harley-Davidson. Ken, welcome to the Benefits Buzz podcast.
It's my life's dream is being realized right now. This is great.
Ken, you were so great on the stage earlier today. You know, it kind of occurred to me when we were walking into the studio to record this that, you know, is this going to work with chairs?
Oh, go ahead.
You're locked down too.
If you really need to get up, you know, just let us know.
Well, this is great. So, you know, you gave a great presentation about the power of brand and the need for companies to humanize. Right? And because we're not wired to be loyal to products or services, but we do find loyalty in people and the humanity of it all. And so first, I want to talk about, we'll get to what does that mean for HR pros, but first I want to talk about why you're so passionate about this topic. I know it was part of your job, but I've seen you present, you're passionate about it.
I love the topic of loyalty. I love talking about loyalty because it's so mysterious to people. And they think that it's a concept that wouldn't work at their business, or even in their own life. I can't make people loyal to what I do because what I do just isn't cool enough, or it's dull, or people don't get it. And we say, no, none of that's true. And that's what I love to talk about. Is anybody can build loyalty just by, and you mentioned it a minute ago. That's it. When we humanize things, we allow people to see our passion and our commitment. Allow them to see our humanity and kind of celebrate that humanity. People come back for more, and that's all loyalty is. Right.
Well, loyalty is a big topic right now, especially like in the midst of the Great Resignation and so many employees kind of rethinking really what they want to do with their careers and their lives. Can you kind of tie this topic back to our audience of HR professionals and benefits professionals?
Absolutely. I mean, I look at the big quit. Virtually every business I talk about has struggled with this. And even in the years prior to the pandemic, people say, we have such a hard time attracting and retaining people. And I say, well, like the people that leave, why do they leave? And well, you know, they're getting more money somewhere else. And I say, like, do you really believe that? Do you think that 2 weeks from now, because they have a slightly bigger paycheck, that their life streams are being realized? It's my very strong belief. You know, if somebody offers you $1 gazillion, you're going to go. Let's be honest about that. But at the end of the day, my feeling is always is that people leave any environment where they don't feel like anyone's looking out for them, where nobody is building a warm, giving, affectionate, if you will, human relationship with them, and employees who feel like they've been abandoned or they're just a cog in the wheel. I don't know what people expect of me here. I don't know. I show up, I work my butt off, and nobody notices. And you say, well, that's because everybody's working their butt off, right? Nobody is, sitting up in the ivory tower with binoculars watching you 24 hours. It'd be great if that were the case, but they're not. So businesses do, though, and HR is such an obvious spot for them. Have opportunities to create that kind of human relationship, that human warmth, humanity and compassion and infectious enthusiasm. And when people notice that and they feel it, they hang around for more. Somebody here cares about me. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Now, you talked about it in your keynote, just about how people are about, look at me, what about me, right? You talked about, like, it's not selfish to think if the world revolves on you because that's all we know. I love the way you gave that perspective, and that's so true, right?
It's very true.
And so when we talk about that, and you think about that perspective, I love your thoughts on loyalty, but I feel like people are still missing something. So what is the most common things that you hear people like, yeah, I get loyalty, I know that, but I know with your research, what are some things or advice you would give the HR pros to really, when you're really thinking about loyalty, what does that really mean to the individual?
If I'm working in HR, and I'm thinking, like so many people do in HR, because they're a function within a bigger business, that my job here is to serve that function. And when people have questions about their benefits or need some guidance on the benefits, well, that's what I'm here to do. And see, what my take on that is we have to look bigger than that. Because everybody in a business serves a function. If we want people to like us as humans, seek us out to take our advice, we need to be human with them. We need to speak in language that they understand.
Right.
We need to acknowledge that people typically won't admit what they don't know because they're going to feel embarrassed.
Yeah.
I'll look dumb if I ask questions about things like insurance and investment, things that I know absolutely nothing about.
Right.
And here's a person sitting right across from me who probably has answers to this, but I kind of don't want to admit that I don't know. So I think if the HR people say, look, I'm not here to serve, I'm here to delight.
Yeah.
If I do that first, if that's what I'm focused on, the person will be more comfortable asking questions, way more comfortable taking our advice. And if we personalize that advice, geez, when I was I had a big problem and I didn't think I needed insurance, and then I broke my arm, and I spent 3 times as much on that as I would have if I bought the insurance. It just that personal story thing that resonates and that people remember.
That's smart.
And do you see that connection between like benefits too, in terms of that building that loyalty for employees? I mean, there's a real opportunity really for HR professionals right now, especially with so many employees saying that they're really depending on their employers to really support them through their benefits. You can really do that.
You absolutely can do that, but at the same time, when benefits are seen as a given, well, of course, they're going to offer me benefits. Doesn't everybody? And we say there's tremendous value and stickiness in employees understanding what those benefits are. When they understand that is not an entitlement, that's a company making an investment in you. You've got extraordinary opportunity to tap into this and take advantage of it. Why? Because you're important to us. We want you to stay here.
Right.
Let's talk about this. Well, people will say, hey, you know what? This is pretty cool stuff. I talk to a lot of people, a lot of college kids, and people that are just out of school, and they will universally say, I'm looking to get a job. Who do I get to talk to about getting promotion? You haven't even started yet.
Yeah, right.
So you gotta get on the practice squad first and work your way up. And they'll also say, I don't want insurance. I don't want to have to pay for it. And I take all of that as percent. I don't understand this. I don't understand this. I've never had to think about it once in my life. Or I got 40 years, 45 years, maybe 50 years in the workforce to worry about my retirement. And that's not that people aren't willing to be forward thinking. What's going to happen to me over time? How am I going to provide for my family? I'm going to retire. That's their way of saying, I don't understand this stuff. Right. And it scares me. It sounds like you're sucking money out of my pocket. I need that money now.
Right.
Well, you're actually getting raised by taking advantage of this stuff.
Right.
Yep.
No, that's great. I think a little bit of what you're talking about, there's 2 things that stood out to me is one, right, having them understand the value, right, of what it is. And 2, I think you talked a lot about this idea of people are drawn to the others that are visibly authentic and excited and passionate about, right, was the word, that was right, the passionate word. And I think when we talk about benefits, not only is it the benefits that we have, but the experience around, right, the benefits or experience of that. And a lot of that comes through the passion that you would see with your employer. So I think it's more than just what you offer, but what is the experience in getting those benefits?
I'm so glad you said that, because a lot of people say, well, I can't make somebody passionate about writing code, or I can't make somebody passionate about working in the mailroom. So that's not what we're talking about. We as people, we exhibit passion for what we're doing, not what we're representing necessarily. Yeah, HR is the greatest. Right? Gonna have a hard time getting everybody else to buy into that. Right. But a passionate person, or a group of passionate people, or a department of passionate people is going to be infinitely more attractive, and people feel infinitely more comfortable around that than knock on the door, come in, I have some questions about my benefits, to somebody who's sitting behind their desk looking very stern.
Right.
This isn't going to be a good conversation. And so people back away. It's kind of, I talk a lot about repellent behavior.
Yeah.
Sitting, being task focused is repellent behavior to somebody who doesn't know you. Right. Oh, I'm taking this person's valuable time. I'm going to ask really dumb questions. So therefore, I will walk out from the conversation as uninformed as I was when I walked
Right.
in. And gee, that could have been so much better.
Right.
Well, it sounds like a lot of what you're talking about here is really company culture and building a culture of approachability
Thank you.
and education where people are comfortable just talking to anybody about anything. And really the HR teams around them are giving themselves time and making themselves available.
The amazing thing that I have found is that when businesses and the leaders of business come to understand, like, look, everything that everybody knows or recognizes or believes to be true about us is a reflection of our culture. And our culture isn't what I, as a leader, dictate it to be. This is who we are. If we as a business decide that we are going to make being visibly passionate, being enthusiastic, speaking language that people understand, delighting people, and make that the lifeblood of our business, that's not the desired behavior. It's the expected behavior. It's what we do. It's the behavior I, as a leader, and my co-leaders are going to exhibit every day. People get that message pretty quickly. Well, I need to be doing this too. And the beauty of, and it sounds overly simplistic, of passion is it is an instantly modeled behavior. Hey, it's way more fun to hang around with people that look like they're enjoying what they're doing than it is to stand around and commiserate and stare at the floor. And do it once. Hey, that feels good. That feels good. I like these guys are fun. I thought they were just HR people, but they're kind of cool.
Right.
Bing.
Right. No, it's interesting, and I see a lot of parallels between the marketing and brand work that you do with what HR professionals are really doing, especially in this job market. And you talk about, when everyone's saying we've got the best-in-class service, and everyone's saying we've got all these great benefits, we start to tune out because it doesn't mean anything anymore, right? And so I think what I would love to hear from you is what tips then do you have for someone? Again, is it really how you communicate the humanity behind your company and that culture? In addition to the benefits, because you don't talk about features like Harley didn't talk about, they used to, you realize that wasn't working anymore. And so I wonder if there's a parallel there between how we're communicating the benefits in the culture and really, do people kind of hear that and go, yeah, everyone's saying that. So how do they stand up?
The amazing thing is that too many businesses, too many people within businesses don't focus on what I call R&R, remember and repeat. If somebody can't remember what I just told them, first of all, it means I didn't tell them anything, but secondly, it means they can't tell others, their coworkers, their friends, whatever that is. So if I'm looking at every encounter as, and this becomes eventually ingrained into your DNA, is if I can be delightful in front of this person who may not be expecting it, they'll notice that immediately. But if I give them the expected language of business. Now let's review some of the features and benefits of these various policies here, see if we can find one that's going to best suit the needs of you and your family. That's exactly what they expected.
I almost fell asleep when you were saying
that person's not going to run back and think, oh, we're talking about options that are going to best serve me and my family. See, the faster we focus, okay, what do I want this person to remember? What I want you to remember is, I'm 100% here for you. I'm going to make your life easier. Okay, let's take this burden off of you. Share it with me. We'll do this together. Pow. It's you will see this as something valuable instead of something that you're just doing because it's a task. And then people, people tend to not understand their benefits. I ran a company with a lot of employees, and I got like, how difficult is this? And I said, well, you know what? It's like when engineers talk to me, I don't speak that language. I don't do the math, and it's like, well, this is the same thing. If I don't think about it, I don't live it. 50 hours a week like an HR person does. Of course, you understand all the language and the nuance and the subtlety and how to apply all that. Well, make it easy for me, but also always be thinking, this person's going to go back. They're going to talk to their coworkers or their friends or even their families at home. If I could control what they're saying about me personally, well, I should do that. Well, you can do that.
Well, I see another parallel too, really, with what you were talking about earlier with brand loyalty and just you've talked so much already about humanizing the brand. What kind of a role could storytelling play in that part and just communicating the value of benefits? Like you were saying, like, oh, if you enroll in this benefit, you're going to save X amount of dollars over time. Would it be more valuable for an HR person to possibly position something like that with their own personal experience or somebody else's personal experience?
Storytelling to me falls directly under the headline of humanization, experience, what we remember. Again, the numbers and the data and the features and the benefits we're not going to remember. But if you are personalizing the the decision path that you were on at one time. Or, you know, hey, a bunch of other people started this week, and here's kind of the questions that they had. And I get that because that was me at one time. Well, here's how we do this. I remember a time when, now we're thinking, this person is going to remember this because I'm simplifying it in a way that isn't childish. I'm just doing it in a way that they can understand, personalize, and remember means everything to people, because that's when any discussion we ever have, we're telling somebody a story. And the story is either good or it's bad, and that's all an experience is. It's all it is what somebody remembers, period. We don't have to sugarcoat it any more than that. If I, as a employee, a new employee, I've been here for 20 years, fondly remember, positively remember, hopefully joyfully remember the time I spent with you, that we just did something really awesome together. And that was your fault. You made that. Or you just chose to choose here, select here, select here, select here, and then you're done. And the person walks like, good God, what did I just do? Hope I don't regret this later. Yeah,
I love that. It's like delivering the delight you talked about, right? Yeah. Well, Ken, I know your time is valuable. You literally have a car waiting for you right now to take you to the airport. So what did we miss? If there was one last tip you could give HR pros from your work at Harley-Davidson and the rest of your illustrious career, what would it be?
First of all, telling people what they expect to hear virtually guarantees they're not going to repeat it or tell somebody else. Is that we have to be focused on building our own vernacular when we're speaking to the people that are important to us. And we do this intentionally because we want them to use that language when they're talking about us. And I'll give you an example of how we did this at Harley, because we found that by always talking about just the product and what we do, that we were essentially commoditizing the playing field. Because we weren't, from a utility standpoint, doing anything that a lot of other companies weren't doing. So we said, well, let's focus less on talking about what we do and the tactics and the strategies and the whys for what we do, and instead put the emphasis on who we are using memorable language. So what we do is we sell freedom. Nice. We sell camaraderie. We stand for individuality, having friends, passion, visible, beautiful passion. And when people use that language over and over, I could be in South Africa and talk to a young woman who bought her first motorcycle, and I say, why did you buy a Harley? My God, what a huge investment that is there. And within the first 10 words, I'm going to hear the word lifestyle. Why? Because that's how we want to be talked about. So get together with your coworkers, the people in the department, whoever is facing with and talking to the people that are most important to you, and say, hey, let's talk about what those kind of magic words are of what we want to stand for. So when they're talking about us, that's the language that they're using. It's really not that hard.
No, but so powerful.
Yeah, I mean, there's another parallel too, really. I mean, we've all heard the power of word of mouth in sales. I mean, same thing for word of mouth in recruiting and retention.
Remember and repeat, baby. You need to say things in front of people that they will tell someone else about them, and that's the essence of reputation. People are saying what you once said.
And there are so few brands that do that well. I think of Disney, I think of Magic, right? There are certain companies that have that. What are the words you want them to use? So such a great thing for HR professionals to think about their company. What words do we want our employees saying when they talk about our business? When they're talking about our friends or recruiting other coworkers or peers to come work there, right? Cool stuff. Ken, thank you so much for your time. Super enlightening. I know our listeners will love it. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you.
WEX is in the business of simplifying benefits for everyone. Now, although we certainly hope our podcast sparks some aha moments, like that was pretty cool, but of course we cannot provide legal, investment, or financial advice. And, well, therefore, nothing shared in this podcast should be interpreted as such. We encourage you to seek out appropriate professional advice regarding your plans. Hey, congratulations! You made it through our disclaimer. Thanks for listening.